Scattergraphs. We use scattergraphs to see if there's any link between two different things. So for example, if we're looking at the scores in an art test against the scores in a maths test, you might find that there was a link between a pupil's art score and their maths score, or their French and German score. Or it could be that there could be a link between the number of ice cream sales against the temperature. And a scattergraph is where we take our two variables and we plot them onto a graph. And we see if there's any link between the two different things. Now, there is a word that will appear when we're looking at scattergraphs, which is to do with the link and how strong the link is between two of variables. Now, there's three types of this word correlation. There is a negative correlation, positive correlation, and no correlation. And we've got the three examples here. Now, the first one, where you were looking at the art and maths scores, you can see there's a negative correlation. Now, this means that as one score goes up, the other score goes down. So pupils who did better in maths, so this kid here got around about 95, but only got 20 in their art exam, whereas this kid up here got 100% in their art, but only got less than 10 in their maths. So there is a negative correlation, because as the maths score goes up, the art score goes down, meaning a negative correlation. We could say it's a strong negative correlation because they're all quite closely linked together. Now here we have the height of people against their handspan. And what this is showing is that the bigger the handspan, the bigger the person. And we call this positive correlation. Now this isn't quite as strong as the negative correlation in this one, so we could say this is weak positive correlations. It's not all closely bunched together, but it's positive correlation because as one goes up, the other one goes up. And finally we have the situation where it's all totally random scattered, and this is called no correlation. I suggest there's probably no chance you're going to get this in the exam, no correlation, because you can't read anything from it. You're more than likely to get positive or negative correlation. And what it will say describe the graph, and you'll either put it's positive correlation or negative correlation. So if it's going uphill, it's positive correlation, downhill, negative correlation. Now, the chances are, in an exam, you'll be asked to complete a scatter graph, describe it, draw a line of best for it, and read from the graph. And that's what I'm going to go through now. So, below is the data for 8 people to compare their 100 metres sprint times against the amount of time they spent on a computer a week. And we've already got our axes set up with the 100 metre times along the bottom and computer hours up the side. And we've got 4 points already plotted, which is the blue ones and the top ones. And if we look at the bottom, we've got our questions. First it says plot the final 4 points. Now what you've got to be very careful of is to read the scale. So if we look along the bottom, it goes 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So each little bit must be 10.1, 10.2. So we're asked to do 12.6, and up the side it's going up in 2s. So 12.6, so we go from 6 across to 12.6 and then up to 6, and we'll put a cross. Next one, mark the ticket, saved it, 12.2 against 10. That's up there. 14.5, so 14, 5 in, up to 14, up here. And finally 11.5 and 5, which is here. Now, there we've done the first bit, we've plotted the 4 points. So make sure you read the axes carefully and you can plot your coordinates onto the grid. And that usually get you maybe 1 or 2 marks. Second thing, it says what type of correlation is there, or it might say describe the correlation. Well, as you can see, the graph is generally going uphill. It's not very closely bunched together, but we could say it's weak positive correlation, but I would just put positive correlation. If it's only worth 1 mark for question, then the only thing they're looking for is whether it's positive or negative correlation. To To get 2 marks, if it's worth 2 marks, that's when you have to say whether it's strong or weak positive or negative correlation. Now the next point says draw a line of best fit. Now what it means by drawing a line of best fit is you want to draw a straight line with a pencil and ruler, which I can't do on here, through the middle of the data, making sure you've got roughly the same number above and below your line of best fit. So I'm going to suggest it's roughly going to go through the middle, which is probably going to be around about here. So get your pencil and ruler and you're going to draw a straight line through the middle. Now mine isn't using a ruler, so it's not perfect, but there is no right or wrong answer. What the examiner will have is they'll have a rough guide for where they want it to be between. Now generally the final part would be to use your line of best fit to answer a question. So it says, if a person ran 100 metres in 12 seconds, how long do you expect they spent on the computer a week? So the first thing to do is to identify which axes are we using. So we've got 100 metre time. So we're looking across the bottom. And we're going to go up from 12, because that's how long they run the 100 metre time in. You can draw any diagram, and then you're going to go across. Now from my line of best fit, the number of hours to spend on a computer is 6 hours. But make sure you read the question carefully to see if you're looking going across the bottom or up the side.